Hello guys and gals and welcome. Welcome. So today we're going to be going over one of the spirit gem skills, which is known as Magma Barrier. Magma is the Magma Barrier. Magma Barrier is actually a really interesting ability. I've played around with it a lot, and it can do some pretty significant damage, but it is based on your shield. So as you can see here, it says 5 to 7 added fire damage per 15 armor, or 5 to 7 fire damage added per 15 evasion. It also has a base of 96 to 144 fire damage. So it's basically designed around the entire prospect of getting your damage, but it also has other aspects too. So not only does it do like a really cool little fire spray thing, it also has the ability to generate endurance charges when you do that. It only requires 30 spirit. It's not really that bad. It is a strength skill though, so it's going to require like a decent amount of strength for you to use it. It is attack, persistent, AoE, melee, trigger, fire. While active, increases your block chance passively, so you get a nice little block chance increase of 25%. And it also, when qualityed, gives you another 5%, so it's basically 30% increased block chance. It's not flat, it's just percentage increase. And then, when fully imbued, your next block with your shield raised will expend the lava to trigger the Magma Spray skill and grant you an endurance charge. Now, you can build this a couple different ways, and you can get additional endurance charges. You can set it up to possibly get you other charges as well. But in general, like I find that Magma Barrier is a very consistent way to not only give you a defensive mechanic by increasing your block chance, but on the Gemling Legionnaire, you can also get a buff that increases your maximum block chance by 5%. So that's really nice. And the maximum block chance that you get will give you obviously more cap, which is going to help you. You can get up to like 75% cap. It's 50% cap by default. So with this skill on the Gemling, you're basically at 55% cap immediately. Now, how do you know that you're ready to spray forth the evil fires of Gehenna? Well, it's really simple. If you look at your shield, you can clearly see that it has this glowing red outline on it. And once it has that glowing red outline, you will, of course, initiate that, like, fire explosion. Let's just go somewhere easy real quick so I can show you what the fire explosion looks like. And you can see how the endurance charges are generated. Now, it works with anything that is technically a raised shield. You can utilize it with shield charge. You can utilize it with resonating shield. You can utilize it with parry. You can utilize it with raised shield, the regular skill. It doesn't really matter. Anything that technically counts as a raised shield will technically work with Magma Spray and cause it to do its little spraying effect. So in this particular case, we're just going to hold down our shield, and as you can see, as soon as we get hit, we spray a magma barrel like spray. It takes a little while for it to recharge, as you can see here, and then once it's recharged, the next time we attack, we get another magma spray. Every time we do this, we get access to the endurance charge, right? So we're getting an endurance charge every time. You can set it up for a chance to get 2 endurance charges per magma spray. You can also utilize other things like the ones that give you a chance to generate other charges, and you can utilize other like passives and whatnot, which can give you a chance to generate an additional charge on utilizing the ability. But in general, magma spray is just a really effective shield-based skill that gives you endurance charges. Now, what can you spend your endurance charges on? Well, you can use it to bypass cooldowns on war cries. There's a bunch of different things that you can potentially use endurance charges for. There's even unique items that allow you to crit every single time as long as you have an endurance charge active. But if you were to take a look at some of the skills, let's take a look at some skills together here. And, oop. Tab list went away. We can look at some of the base skills. For instance, with Fortifying Cry, which is a really good one to use this with, you can clearly see it says this skill's cooldown can be bypassed by expending an endurance charge. So basically, you can just use the endurance charges to get almost infinite war cries, which is really nice. Utilizing Magma Spray with things like Shield Wall, I don't think you can use it with Shield Wall, but you can use it with Resonating Shield, Shield Charge. You can also utilize it with Parry. You can utilize it with the basic Shield Raise ability. And you can easily get the explosions happening all the time. Shield Charge is a movement ability too, so you can like squeeze that in just about any ability just to move around faster. Now, the damage on the ability is actually quite significant. I've spent some time trying to build the damage on the ability, and like if you have a good shield that scales the damage according to the numbers here, you can clearly see that it specifically states 5 to 7 added fire damage per 15 armor on shield, and 5 to 7 added fire damage per 15 evasion on shield, right? So in general, when you're talking about like the damage of this ability, I have like a 1,800 like defense shield divided by 15 times 7. That's like 881 plus the 144. Means it's doing like about 1,025 base damage, like just from the shield alone, right? Before you start adding in any multipliers and any other things that you could potentially do to increase the damage. So it works very well as a subsequent damage thing that you can add in to your shield-based abilities. Just gives you an extra attack, gives you something that you can utilize to do things with. Like, for instance, with Magma Spray, you could potentially utilize this to pull armor break or to support abilities in specific ways. Like, for instance, you could, well, you can't use it to break armor because it's fire damage, but you could use it to ignite, and then you could use other abilities to pull that ignite off of the target. There's definitely a lot of fun ways that this ability can work into a build, but the question is always going to be postured is, do you have enough spirits to fit it in, to squeeze it in, right? And also, do you need the block chance that it offers? Because there's a lot going on here. You get the block chance, you get the cap block chance, you get the damage, you get the ability to use it as a support for endurance charges to bypass Warcry cooldowns, and then finally at the very end, you can also just simply utilize it for support abilities to do specific things like ignite or pull specific modifiers. Overall, it's a very good spirit gem that you can utilize in certain builds. And another thing that you could potentially do with this, which is something that people might not consider, is that it's very good at building endurance charges, right? Well, if you utilize this key passive up here, it's called Resonance. It says gain power charges instead of frenzy charges, gain frenzy charges instead of endurance charges. So in this particular case, if you were to utilize this as a shield ability, you can easily use Resonance to change the endurance charges into frenzy charges. So in this particular case, you could basically use a shield ability to gain frenzy charges for whatever ability that you're trying to utilize, which is also really nice. Overall, just a very multifunction and powerful ability that can get you a lot of charges, a lot of damage, and also a lot of block chance. There might be something better that you can use for your specific character, but it's definitely a fun one. As always, do appreciate you guys and gals watching. Let me know what you guys think about Magma Barrier. If you have any questions, be sure to ask in the comments. And as always, keep watching.